Hey guys, Zach Evnesh here with the Iron Roots podcast, brought to you by Play. I'm standing inside the York Barbell Hall of Fame Museum. Look at this amazing photo. I've seen it before, but now we've got the history and we're bringing it to you here with Iron Roots, Tommy Kono, Dave Shepard, Bob Hoffman, John Grimmick, you name it. Through these next few episodes, we're going to be taking you through an amazing ride, an amazing tour of weightlifting and iron history. Now, if you're just listening on Apple Podcasts or wherever you could listen to our podcast, make sure you tune into the Play.pro app. That's where you could watch the videos. You're going to see photos and see inside of the York Barbell Hall of Fame some amazing photos while I interview somebody very, very special. Get a protein shake ready because we're going to crush it. This is Play's Iron Roots, a podcast dedicated to uncovering the strength legends, the training methods, and the stories around physical culture and iron history. I'm your host, Zach Evnesh. Grab yourself a protein shake, chalk up, and prepare to travel back in time through some of the most awe-inspiring stories of iron history. It's go time.
On this episode of the Iron Roots podcast, Zach continues his conversation with Jan Dellinger at the York Barbell Museum.
Another thing, we've got to remember, Grimmick started with the Milo courses, and they would tell you, like on the reps, it was like start out with 20 and like a leg exercise.
Right.
And every third workout, add 2 reps and up to your 40. So he said I had to clean the weight and get it on my shoulder. He said I do 40 reps. And then he said I had to do 40 reps of calf raises. He said that was the last 2 exercises I did. He said because I was shot after that.
It's interesting to hear about the high reps that they were talking about back then.
In an introductory phase, and he said that from that point, then he said I could tell the leg work was really working for me.
The high reps. Yeah. I think I read an article that you had written about. He was training at the original York Barbell Club, and maybe a pro football player wanted to come and train with the guys, and the guys were not around, and he was in his 60s, and he went upstairs and started squatting, and the guy could not keep up with him.
Well, I saw him. Okay, I saw him. I used to come down and watch a couple of workouts, just roam around. I got off work at 3:30. I roam around. Well, that's about.
What time did you start working at?
It's 7 in the morning. That's
7 to 3:30.
When I worked at the cookie factory. So after work, I'd roam down here to get a little fix, and he was about the only one in the gym. And
why was he the only one in the morning or after?
Afternoon.
Why would he be the only guy there?
Well, we didn't have that many guys. Lee James was the only other guy who was like, Paul Salisbury, sort of in residence.
Right.
But they were the only 2 lifters that were here all the time.
What about
on a non-Saturday?
What about like normal people? Were normal people allowed into the club?
No, you were allowed to watch, but you had to either be an invited lifter, or if you worked there. Of course, I worked there. I didn't compete that much, but I competed a little bit. But anyway, it was if you worked there, you had access to the gym. No, it's not a public gym. In fact, that's what Bob Backlund, the wrestler, started coming here. When was this? When was he champion? It was in the 80s, I guess. But yeah, it had to be like
what was his name again?
Bob Backlund.
Backlund.
Who's the at that time WWF champion.
Right.
Now it's the WWE champion.
We gotta be careful.
Vince McMahon's champion for about in the late 70s to about middle 80s, so 84, something like that. He liked to come here because they still drove the territory for one thing.
Right.
But there's nobody in the gym to bother him. And this is the only guy I ever know of in the history of York Barbell who came to York Barbell to train and never lifted a weight. Not that he was against lifting weights. He said he did plenty of that when he was in college, and he said, but if I go into a commercial gym, he said people just bug the daylights out of him. So he said he developed a 2-exercise plan.
What were those 2 exercises? Oh, ab wheel rollout?
Yeah, he'd do 600-700 of those a day.
On kneeling or standing?
Yeah, kneeling. I never
7.
saw him do them standing.
He must have been, his stomach must have been of
I'm pretty
steel.
sure he could do them standing, but he didn't.
Oh,
he
wow.
also did step-ups on the bench.
And that was the 2 exercises? Bodyweight step-ups?
Yeah, bodyweight step-ups. He did real high reps. He did 1,400 reps a leg.
So just climbing up and down, climbing up and down.
Like that Harvard step test?
Yeah, you know what's interesting too is like some of the best like NFL wide receivers we hear about were doing like, they would sprint hills, but they didn't sprint like a hill for 5 seconds.
Yeah.
They would have a hill that would take them
long
sometimes several. Yeah, they did more like aerobic and anaerobic
they hit
capacity.
that midpoint there, in that continuum between aerobics and anaerobic.
What,
Yeah.
Interesting to hear though that so John Grimmick, was he training alone? There's no training partner?
Well, no, he didn't.
Who trained him? Who taught him? By the time he was, how long had he been? Who trained him aside from?
He was pretty much a natural talent, and things just worked for him. But he read in I guess one of the Milo magazines about Sid Klein's gym up in New York.
Yes.
And he said, I can find that. So he got
Which was like a physical culture gym.
But Klein was good, strong presser, heavy lifter.
Bent presses and such.
Yeah, and he would do he could do those tiger bends and things like that.
Yes.
Anyhow, so Grimmick said, I ventured up there, and he said apparently Klein took a liking to me, and he asked him how many times he could press 100-pound dumbbells. And so this means he's pretty...
Overhead pressing.
Yeah, pretty well advanced. He said I couldn't clean them. He said, made me mad. He said, because Klein's a smaller guy.
Yeah.
He whipped him up there, and he seesaw pressed him, I don't know, 14, 15 times.
That's tremendous.
Anyway, so Grimmick was a little bothered by that. So he said, I'll be back in 2 weeks. He told Klein, I'll be back in 2 weeks. And I'll clean them and I'll press them. Anyhow, because I don't think Grimmick had a lot of dumbbell work up to that point. He was just brutally strong. Anyhow, so he went home, he got short bars, and I guess he made some more of those plates, and he fashioned a couple 100-pound dumbbells. He worked at cleaning them. He could clean them. Once he cleaned them, so I could press them relatively easy. But
he would clean a pair of hundreds, which is very hard.
Right. Anyhow, so he,
I love it.
2 weeks, this is the kind of natural talent he was. Within 2 weeks of not having any dumbbell training, he's now cleaning a pair of hundreds and seesaw press them. Well, more reps than Klein could. And that's not Klein's a much older man and was a much lighter man. So
right.
But so that's not a dig at Klein. But anyhow, so we went back to Klein's, and he said, I walked in there, he said, no warm up. Klein, I'm going to do this. Whipped him up and started pressing him. I got up to about 15 and Klein, okay, that's fine. So I've started out shine Klein. And I think that was, but that just tells you what kind of natural talent Grimmick was.
Now,
I'll tell you, I mentioned seeing him work out. Klein, was an influence. Of course, the writings of Jowitz was an influence. My Milo courses got him going. Somewhere along the line, he met Milo Steinborn. I think this was more motivation than actual do this, do that, instruction. He didn't need that, do this, it just sort of worked for him. But I can tell you this, I saw him when he was 62 years old. He could clean and press a pair of 100-pound dumbbells, do a set of 8 to 10. Someday, if he didn't feel that good, it was 8. If he felt good, it was 10. And
was he like, when he got older, did he say, I got to warm up, or did he just go up and kind of start getting into it?
His workouts were almost bordered on like a circuit routine, but not like, I got to get over here and then I got to do this. He was just a leisurely,
But it was full body workout?
A leisurely circuit routine.
So he would clean and press hundreds?
Yeah, he didn't clean them from the floor. He pretty much, whoop.
Oh, he'd put it on his lap and kind of whip them up?
Yeah.
Interesting. Squatting, I had heard that he could squat like 600 plus pounds.
When he was younger, he might have been up to that. I saw him full squat in the 400, let's say 425, 440, something like that.
In his 60s?
Yes.
What was he wearing? Was he wearing his slacks and cut off sleeves?
Those red York Barbell sweatpants.
Yep.
And he usually wore a York Barbell t-shirt. In fact, I'll tell you, when he died, they had a suit on him, of course.
Yep.
But underneath that suit, in a dress shirt, was a York Barbell t-shirt.
Amazing. A lot of his photos, they'd show him with slacks and like a tight cut off or sleeveless shirt, which is like...
because he couldn't fit them over his arms.
His arms were huge. What did he do for his arms?
Just press, curl. In fact, he didn't even curl that much. He sort of just freewheeled around.
It seemed almost like he was like a hippie of weightlifting. Like he could do kind of whatever and felt like whatever.
Oh yeah. See, people just look at him as like either as a bodybuilder or a strongman.
He was both.
He was beyond that. He was an athlete. It's just that when he was raised in 1910 and the early,
right.
1920, they didn't really have organized sports there in Perth Amboy, maybe beyond boxing.
Right.
So he really didn't have like that Pop Warner football thing, Little League baseball, the clinics and stuff like that. But if you stop and look at he could do hand balancing,
It was tremendous. He would do that tiger press up.
He could do that.
I was telling you about that old.
Well, when he posed, I finally got to see some footage of him pose a couple of times. I think the last time he posed was in 1958 at Madison Square Garden. That would have been about 48 years old. He would leap off. He would leap off the dais and land in a full split.
Yeah, I had seen photos of him doing, like when we hear straight leg deadlift, he would straighten out his legs, stand on a block, and it looked like the bar was almost a foot below his feet.
He said,
where did he get that? Did you see him doing a lot of stretching?
No. The only stretching I know he told me he did was when I said, "How'd you learn to do the splits?" He said, "Well, I'd practice at home at night, and so when I decided I wanted to put that in the posing routine, he said I practiced just a little wider each night, and so I got down there."
He just didn't complicate it, whereas today I feel like we complicate.
We need suspension, and we need this.
And he's just like, well, I stretched a little more, and then a little bit more.
That's what I said. People don't realize the athlete he was. I don't think he quite realized the athlete he was. He just had athletic ability, but I don't think he was totally aware of it.
Yeah.
It's just, I think I'm going to try that. And it happened. I think Bill Hinburn said one time, Grimmick could do anything. He was that kind of fertile ground.
Sure.
It just didn't matter what he did. He could do it. And, it's just, that's it,
Yeah. I'm a
gifted person.
Right. Well, I mentioned earlier that there's an old video on YouTube of him at a strength and health picnic. I can't recall, it looked like he was maybe in like a boxing ring.
That wasn't at a strength and health picnic.
What was that?
They were barnstorming at the time.
What's barnstorming?
Well, they were trying to get York Barbell name out there. And they strapped a bar to the front of Huffman's Model T or whatever it was, Model A, and they toured from city to city.
He'd be at a park or something and just try to
carnivals or things like that.
Amazing.
Set up.
So
you're looking, I've seen that. I somehow think that was out in the West Coast.
He's doing clean and press. Then he lets the weight drop and catches it.
I asked him. I said, "Didn't it crush your arms? Didn't it hurt?" He said, "Well, you have to know how to catch it." Well, if you go back to this Jowett and those old time strongmen, some of them did that. Now, I don't remember ever seeing anybody do it with as much weight as he did.
It looked like he had maybe 3 plates on there. I'm saying he was either right under or right above 300
He was
pounds.
somewhere in that range, yeah.
And he was cleaning it with such ease. It just blew my mind. And then he did the tiger press.
Yeah, he had, we're used to seeing all kinds of chiseled jack guys, huge guys, things like that. In his day, when he was young, they aren't used to, people didn't see that. I mean, you might get a boxer that looked good, but he had mass to him, but it was really nicely shaped, symmetrical mass.
Yes.
I can tell you that Dave Mayer, who was the other heavyweight on the 1936 Olympic team in Berlin, told me, he said, those guys in the white coats, that's the German scientists, chased after Grimmick. He said he wouldn't leave Olympic Village after a while. They wanted to get him into the tent. They asked him, where in Europe did your family hail from? They're looking for the master race.
Right.
Grimmick looked like the walking poster boy. They asked him what is your diet? What is this? What is that?
What was his diet? I had heard
it's horrible.
I had heard he would eat so much.
Well, when he got maybe to York, Grimmick told, now again, he was from Perth Amboy. He told me, he said, I hated fish. I hate the smell of fish. He said, I didn't really have vegetables and protein until, he said, I think I had my first vegetable about 14. He said, he said, when I was in my 18 or so, he said, I got a job as what they call it, soda jerk at a soda fountain.
Right.
At the time, Nixon. He said, then suddenly I got access to milk.
Ah.
He said, and I started drinking milk. And he said, yeah, my lifts started going up. My body weight started going up. The squats and milk thing.
Milk back then was way different than milk of today, I always say.
Right. I had more fat in it. But anyway, Grimmick's mother died in the swine flu epidemic of 1917 or whatever, 16, 17, 18. His mother died. Perth Amboy got hit really bad with that. And it was a while until he had, his father got remarried at some point. And he said, all I remember is she baked bread. He said, we get these large, trays of bread out and baked bread, he said, and we put, butter, heavy amounts of butter on it.
Bread and
that's
butter.
That's about all we had to eat.
Yeah.
And so, I just telling you what he told me.
What did he eat when you guys were in the office together? Or did you guys have
anything.
your own?
Well, he went home for lunch.
Yeah.
But we would have like company outings at Christmas and things like that. He ate anything anybody else did, like Chinese food. He was not a fastidious person about diet.
Right.
It was just, I think basically the only reason he would restrict his food was like he thought he was getting a little too heavy. He liked to stay at like 205 or
205?
yeah, maybe 210.
Yeah.
Not much more than that.
Yeah, it's so strong.
Yeah.
Thank you for supporting the Iron Roots podcast brought to you by Play. To see this episode and all the other educational resources brought to you by Play, go to play.pro, Plae.pro. You're going to love it, and we'll see you next time.